Yeah, I'm in my house now. It's about 4:30 on Friday. So this is gonna be videos about oil pressure. When Darren was here, when we first started the car up, he said I had 80 pounds pressure. But now it's like, I don't know, a month later, maybe 6 weeks, the gauge says 30. So now this video is all about me checking everything, finding out what it is, and then in the end I fix it. But then in the end, I run into another problem that I have to fix, and if you watch it all the way through, you'll see that. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out some way to test it. Now, I got a compression tester. I looked it up. Compression tester will test anything. Will test any fluid except for hydraulics, I think. But anyway, it'll work for water, oil, fuel. So I just took it off my compression tester there. And then I took the oil sending unit out, and somehow I got to run a tube up from the oil filters area where this plugs in, up, and then where I can plug both these in. So then I can, when I start the engine, I'll read this, whatever that says. Then I'll hook in a gauge over here. Anyway, it's hard to explain because I don't completely understand it yet, but that's where I'm at right now. So the first thing I was trying to do is determine what thread this was. And what's really weird is that it's not, even though it's a 76 car, it's not the inch thread. It's the 10 millimeter 10, if you can see that. And this, again, to make all this work, I gotta be able to screw it into something. Let's try to do this with one hand. Anyway, that'll go on there tight, but then it just tightens up. It's like a pipe thread where it just gets constantly a little bit bigger. But yet this is also, will screw right into the engine block. I don't really understand what's going on with this thread. Is it a pipe thread? Does it get bigger as it goes in? Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. And we'll see where I get on this. Okay. Getting back to this testing the gauge. First of all, I was trying to figure out what size thread this was. I think I said that I took out. And it wasn't a standard size, it was a metric. And it was a 10 millimeter 1, whatever that means. But when I went to screw this on here, it tightens up right away, so I just learned something. I mean, I probably already knew this before we got. All these fittings are, let's see, MPG, which is National Pipe Gauge, which means they're smaller, and as you tighten it, the pitch gets bigger. In other words, the diameter changes. So, anyway, I learned that. Probably forget it tomorrow. Can't remember things anymore. But, putting that aside, I went to this, I'm looking over here, I went to this call a hose guy. He makes up hoses, hydraulic hoses for tractors and stuff. So I just went down there, I said, this is what I got. This is what I want to do. And he made me this. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna screw in down here, where this would usually be. I'm gonna bring it up over the fender. And I'm gonna put this on here. Then I had my compression gauge, but he was telling me that the compression gauge, especially since it goes up to 300 psi, wouldn't give me an accurate reading. So he talked me into getting one of these. It was like 30 bucks, which is it's got glycerin fluid in here and it goes up to 100 psi. But I'm curious about everything. So now I'm gonna, when I do hook this up later in the video, which will explain it further how I'm going to test the gauge. But this will tell me how accurate this is. This will tell me what the oil pressure is. And then when I hook up my gauge, this should read the gauge. If it doesn't, I'm going to trust this, and I got this, and I got these two to kind of check each other. He says this one will be less accurate. And all I need is I'll take the battery out of the Ranger. I mean, I probably could put jumpers on the battery in the car. Maybe I will. And I'll check it. But I also can, again, I have extra gauges. I'll go over this later. But since this is not going to be down there where the oil filter is, I'm going to need to run a wire from here to the wire. Then I can, first of all, I want to check the instrument panel. So I'll check this, then I'll go look in the car, and I'll see if this matches that. And if that doesn't match that, then it's either this, the sending unit. I mean, this is the sending unit. It's either the sending unit, the wire, or the gauge. And if it's the gauge, I got some more gauges over here. So anyway, so what did this cost me? I think this was about 30 bucks, something like that, maybe 20, I forget. And this hose and all these fittings that he put, I'll just show you. So the hose and the fittings was like 20 bucks. But it was worth it to me because the price of gas, me driving around trying to find the right fittings, this was a bonus. I wasn't even looking for that. By the way, this oil pressure gauge, the difference between the oil pressure gauge, let me finish this. By driving around trying to find the right fittings, I've been through that before. Everybody's been through it. You go to like 10 stores, so one stop shop. But the difference between this gauge and this gauge, this is the compression gauge, and this is really for fluid, a fluid gauge. This has got a small hole in it. I mean, that's about a 1/16 inch hole down inside there. This one's got like a 3/16. That might even be smaller than 16th. Anyway, that's where I am so far. So again, just to be safe here, I'm gonna put some Teflon tape on this end, which is gonna go into the filter where this would normally go. When you put Teflon tape on, go the direction that you. If you're going to screw your fitting on that way, you want to wrap your tape that way. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to finish this. I just got a call, said they're going to cancel the car insurance because I haven't paid it. I don't remember ever seeing the bill. But anyway, now I got to, because I'm going to put this up on the, what I was showing, I got to run a wire from where the plug is up to here, so I can plug this in. It's just temporary thing, so let's crimp it on there. Anyway, to be clear, here's that rubber hose. I just screwed it into here. Now I gotta run the connection from there up. Yeah, I just realized I put the wrong fitting on. This is what's in the car. I need to plug the wire into that, so I need one of these. So let's see. That's what I need. Cut it too long. I'll plug this into the car too, while it's up in the air. So I just plug that fitting into where it would normally plug into the sensor. So here's the rubber hose. There's the wire. Just make sure I stay away from the exhaust, and I am. And I'll hook this stuff up. I'll hook this stuff up tomorrow. I gotta go do other stuff. So again, if I plug this in here, just to make, I know I'm going to show this anyway, but if I put that in there, plug this in there, it'll send a signal back to the gauge, as long as this is grounded. So this is going to have to be grounded to the frame if I just wanted to check that, if that makes sense. So all I did is I undid this, which it normally was. I'm plugging it into here, which is really down. I'm really plugging it down there. This will send a signal. This will give me the pressure on this. This will give me the pressure to tell me if either one of these, if this is off or that's off, or in between. And then after that, I can, let's see, what do I do after that? Then I can unplug that wire, because this is sending a signal to the instrument panel. But then I can do a wire from here to here. And that'll all make sense later. Battery's disconnected, so I don't have to worry about anything. Now I gotta go pay the insurance bill. Okay, so I'm putting Teflon tape on all these parts. just triple being careful. And I don't want these wires getting loose and hitting anything. So I'll go plus, plus, negative, negative, switch, switch. So right, put these nails here because now that I started, I don't want these wires to pop loose. And once it gets going, I don't want to be messing around hooking the wires up and making mistakes. They can't get loose. I know what they are. I got the oil pressure. We'll start the car. If you hear me, I just started the car. Got 70 on this one. Got about 68 on that one. Again, 70, 68. 14.73. But now when I go to the switch, plus, we're at 6.9. I'm gonna go back in. Now we're gonna see what well, we can't see what the gauge says because it's disconnected. So forget that. So I finally figured this out. I don't know why I couldn't put it together in my head. So you just saw that we have 60, 60, 60. I think the oil pressure went down because the idle went down. I think that. So what we have here is, looking at this. Again, this is plus battery, negative battery. And this is a signal which I'm not using. This is coming directly out of the car. I'm not using that because I'm bypassing it. Because that signal is coming from the gauge that's in the car, if that makes sense. So just forget I even said that. So I got the power going to the plus. I got the negative going to the ground. I got the signal. Oh wait, well, let me back up. I got the negative going to the ground, but then I had the case grounded to grounded to the ground of this. It's a bunch of wires. I mean, I should probably draw it out, but so one more time. This is the way I think it works. You got power going, you're bringing in power into this instrument panel. Power is then sending us a signal into this, or it's giving it power. I don't know how much power is good. It might be, those are like coils. I don't know if it's transforming it lower. I don't know that. But then it's going across to the sending unit where you hook the wire up. Then it's, once you start the car, it sends that signal back through the ground. If that makes sense. So the yellow is grounding in here and the green is grounding it there, but it's still going back to the battery. Does that make sense? So what that is telling me is, I guess, if I was to take this power and put this power on here, I don't know what that would tell me. We could try that. I'll disconnect the power to here, put this power on there, which is the signal coming out of the gauge that I think is burned out. And we'll see what happens. So, right now it's hot all the time because I'm directly into the battery. So we're going to disconnect this. I'm going to take the signal wire that's coming out of the car. If I'm saying this right. Not the signal wire. We're taking the power wire that's coming out of the car. And we'll see what happens. Switch powers. I forgot. Take this off. Put power on. What that's saying is that that's 70, well 60, 60, 60. So we're going to change this number 70 to 60. That's about what it's running at. I should have checked the RPMs. Now I'm going to unplug all this stuff, put the sending unit back in, hook the wire back up, and then go read the gauge inside. We know the gauge should read 60. We know the wire's working because I read 60. We know the signal wire's working because I read 60 here. I don't know what else. I don't know what else it could be. If I hook it back up and it does not read 60 in the car, it's got to be the gauge. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this because I've made some mistakes here, but I finally figured it out. So one more time, and I'm going to write this down. If you want to test your unit out of the car, the first thing is you got to know what your oil pressure is. We know it's 60. At that idle, it was 60. It was 60 here and it was 60 here. So now we want to find out, is the sending unit working? I mean, if it wasn't working, I'd probably get 0 over here. Or I don't know what I'd get. So I'm assuming the sending unit's working, the oil pressure's good. So now what I did, looking at this again, And it didn't matter. Well, it did matter. It was a little bit lower with the signal wire, but when I had direct hot, anyway. So power from the battery into plus. Signal wire here goes to the where the wire would plug in, where the signal wire would have plugged into the back of the sending unit. Ground I have going to the case. I don't know that it matters. I should have tried that, but anyway, it's grounded to the it's grounded from the sending unit to the ground, and then from the case to the battery ground. I don't know how else to say it, but you saw it work. And I forgot to check, and I'm just curious. Maybe somebody else's did the let's see. What was the reading at the sending unit when the car was running? Because this wire was, remember, it was like 6. Starts right up every time. So I don't know what that means. I thought it would be 12, but it's not. Anyway, anybody that's interested, I write the stuff down so I don't forget it, because I can't remember nothing. But that's how I did it. That's with the engine running and the sending unit hooked up. So on this end, you'd be screwed into the block. The other test that I showed at the beginning, you just ground it, and the same would work with a temperature gauge, by the way. Okay, there's the oil gauge. It's hooked back up. It's only reading 30. Well, we know it's 60. Right, so I got to take this back out. Anyway, I was able to get that out. Just gonna unplug this. This speedometer cable. You can reach the speedometer cable up from under here. I can't do it with this hand. Just under the right side of the climate box, just reach up and push the button and it'll release. And then 4 screws. Anyway, I gotta take this apart again. Remember, only take off the ones that are holding the plastic down. And the bulbs. So don't take off that one, that one, that one, this one, that one. take off these two. So if you reach underneath and push that, it'll release the speedometer cable. I had to lower the steering wheel about a ½ inch, but I didn't have to take the heating duct out. Well, I didn't have to take that one out. Seven sixteenths or 5/16. This one. Washer here. Take these two out. Anybody that hasn't watched my videos, the only reason I know how to do this is because I've taken this apart 3 or 4 times now. It comes right out, but it's always a pain for some reason. There you go. Take it out of this one. Hope it all works. If this doesn't work, I'll have to buy a new one. Put these on the side. So this plastic has to bend down. And the corners. Okay, I don't remember which two go there, so it must be the last two. Let's see, make sure I don't put the wrong one in. This one has to go in last. But you can put these two in. Washer. I don't know if you need a washer. I'm just putting washers on these ones. It's the fuel temperature gauge. Try not to drop them. Oh, it doesn't fit there for some reason. Got 3 nuts left. Not sure why. There's one right in front of my eyes. Must be one more. Let's see. Where'd this one come from? Right in front of me. Got tunnel vision. Two screws. Starting to get old, starting to drop stuff. I'm not starting to get old, I am old. Okay, now I'm just going to check everything. Tight, 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 tight. Tight, 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 tight. I think I can check that one. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna put it together tomorrow. So I tested everything, switched it. Throw these extra nuts in this box. That's it, tomorrow. So when I took this out, there's 4 screws. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't take off these. They just sell replacement lenses. They sell replacement almost everything. But don't take anything apart. Looks like I put these bulbs in. Don't take anything apart until you get everything. At least that's my opinion. Take pictures. See, make sure the bulbs are tight. You saw the other video, I showed you how to tighten them. Some holes, for whatever reason. All the bulbs are the same. This one's loose. Good. 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 But anyway, if you're watching a video for the first time, you can bend these tabs down right here to tighten it up. Like that one's too loose. It's right on the edge of being too loose. Let's bend that down a little bit. That's it. You notice that these don't show that plus and negative. So let's go over it one more time. That's the key wire, or the ignition wire. Ground. Plus. I think that plus gets, well, everything gets power from here. So ignition, ignition, signal, signal, ground. That's it, I'm done for the day. Yeah, I'm just going to toss this in. This is all, I found something else that wasn't working. It was the lighter. So, you know, you take this off. It's got like 3 screws or something that holds it. So the way you replace this, well, first of all, if you look inside, you can't see, but there's like a ring around the inside. On mine, that piece was missing. Where it went, I don't know. But the way you take these apart, there's a cap, a trim cap that goes on here later, but you just, my hands are so big, but you just turn this. You gotta hold your finger in here. It goes like that. So save this piece. There's the inside and outside. See, there's a recess. It goes like that. Put it in here. There's a notch in here. On here. Dang phone. So make sure that notch is in. Hold this piece inside. And that's it. So there's two plugs in here. Okay, there's gonna be a light that plugs in here that I guess I'll show. It looks like a bullet. And then there's this. So make sure you get the right one. It just looks just like what I just showed. And then also, I just found this out because I went down to this Chevrolet hot rod shop. I just said, "Do you have a GM one?" The guy gave that inner element to me. But the other thing is, make sure there's two different kinds: Rochester and something else. And I was looking at them. One of them, this lighter would not fit in. So you can see it. That's it. Also, anybody else interested? These are real faded. I can read, this is the defroster, this is the power door lock. I can just read rear, looks like it should say defroster, and door, and I think it says up and down. But anyway, on Ames Performance, they sell little covers that you can put on here to fix that. Anyway, that's it. Okay, so anybody interested, I'm going to try to put this in. I'll show you how I put it in. Of course, I don't have the seat in. So you got to take this. You got to take this piece out. This piece bolts down inside here. But you notice the steering column's still in. You can get this in and out just barely if you take this out. Loosen the steering wheel mounting bolts almost as much as you can without it falling off. Let me put my light on my head. And if you can see this, by the way, here's that bullet that goes on the lighter. And there's two wires. You probably can't see that from where you are. There's these two. But anyway, so see if I can put it back in. I mean, you really should lower the column, but if you lower the column, you got to take the air duct out. So let's see if I can get this back in. Okay. So reach around over on this side and get back out of this hole. Plug this. I guess it's the, I don't know what it is, the clock temperature, clock and tack, I guess. Okay, that's plugged in. Now we got to plug in this harness. You can see it barely right here, if you can see in there. I'm gonna have to get my head in the way. And by the way, to release it, you just squeeze it. Can't see all the way in here. Okay, it just snapped in. Now you got now you got to hook up the speedometer. And if you see, you can, if you take this piece off, like you have to anyway. You find the speedometer cable, wherever the heck it is. You can't see it. Trying to find it. Where is it? Okay, so I have it in my hand, but I can't pull it this way. So now I'm just gonna leave that loose. Let's see. Just gonna look out there. Remember how it looks? Okay, it's right in the center of this. Just gonna lay that in there. Reach up under here. Try to find the speedometer cable again. There, I got it in my hand. Just have to get it just right. Sometimes you gotta play with it because I can't see it. Okay, I'll pull this back out because I can't remember how to hook it up. I mean, I know how to hook it up, I just can't, there's something wrong. It's not snapping right in. Might be the angle's crooked or. Let's see, what am I doing wrong here? I should snap right in. Look at it again. Anyway, it should snap in. There it goes. I don't know what I did. It went in really easy. So it's all back together. So I'm gonna hook up the battery. I disconnected the battery. Start up, see if we got the 60-pound oil pressure we need. Then I'll put this back together, and that's it. Do a cold start. The seat's not in, so I'm just going to get some gas right here. Nothing's really adjusted perfectly yet, so 1, 2, let's see if it starts. Just reach in the window because there's no window. Now we'll see if the oil pressure is working. Okay, take the camera off the tripod. We're looking for 60 psi. I got 60, but the water temperature says, so now the oil gauge is working, but the water temperature says 250. So anyway, that's the end of the oil pressure. We got that working. And by the way, RPM set high right now. I gotta turn the engine off. I'm inside. Doors are closed. It's getting hot down here in the shop. So anyway, now I got the oil pressure working. Now the temperature switch isn't working. Again, I switched gauges. I'm thinking, what does this mean? It means that now I gotta check, I gotta figure out how to test. I can go out and buy a new gauge, or I can figure out, or I can try to take one of these apart, because they do come apart. I'm just showing you on this, and get one of these water pressure gauges. I'll probably do that. I'm just, anyway, that's where I'm at. But now, anyway, you saw, that's how I just figure stuff out. I just try, but I'm gonna take it apart again.